I was going to take the camera out tonight and share my evening walk with you, but it's a filthy night, and the last time I took the camera out, the rain got into the works, and that was the end of that. So I'm just going to, I've just come in the door, I'm going to share with you what my evening walk is like. I like to start by just walking round the West Cliff and looking down on the sea. I always say I just like to see whether the sea is still there, and surprisingly enough, it always is. Anyway, tonight I went down the steps and walked along the prom at the top of the beach. If you don't know it, Poole Bay stretches in a great crescent from Sandbanks, which is part of Poole, in the west, round past Bournemouth, Boscombe, Southbourne, and to Hengistbury Head in the east. Poole Bay is bigger than that because it also incorporates Swanage and the west side of the Isle of Wight. But anyway, it's a long, gently sloping, sandy beach of some 7 miles long, and because it is gently sloping and because it's a curve, it means that the waves never quite meet the beach head on. They do occasionally, but and when they do, it tends to be in such a way that there is no break between the waves. In other words, one wave is breaking and there is another one moving in behind it, so that it becomes an almost continuous noise. You don't get the sort of heavy clump of the waves that you might do on a rocky shore. It's just a continual noise that is very loud. It's very loud, and as you're walking along, I mean, I suppose it's the same sort of sound you get as if you stand in a field next to a motorway. Continuous sort of sibilant roar. It is at once a bit overwhelming. It's also slightly reassuring. It's a, you know, in the way that white noise can be reassuring. It's can be hypnotic. Anyway, I'm walking quite quickly tonight because the wind is fresh from the east, I guess. So it's quite chilly. The rain is being driven in front of the wind, so it's pattering on the hood of my coat. The sea to one side is making this continual roaring noise. There are still, strangely enough, because it's the seaside, people, and it's nearly November, people still believe that they should be in summer wear. So you still get people in shorts and t-shirts, people in trainers running along the beach. I've never quite got that. For me, as soon as it's September, if I've been wearing shorts, they are definitely in the back of the wardrobe. Anyway, tonight I made my way along to the pier. It's always a bit strange when it's raining on a night like this, because it's largely empty. There are a few cyclists, a few runners, one or two couples hurrying along to a restaurant, but generally it's empty, and you get the street lights reflected off the paving stones. So I make my way up the long slope from the pier head up to the Westcliff Green again. The sea is there all the time. The air is filled with the sea. The tide is flowing, the tide is coming in, and the waves are small, continuous procession of waves, adding to this general din that they make. So I'm not feeling terribly well disposed towards the weather or the sights and sounds of the town, but there is something very invigorating about that sort of walk in that sort of weather. And for me, having the sea, the seafront, the Westcliff, more or less to myself, is as much as I could ever want. Thank you. Good night.